Hello, welcome to How to Lead During COVID-19 in a Manufacturing Plant, sponsored by Caldwell's and Associate. We are a licensed Shingo Institute affiliate. We specialize in two areas, operational excellence through the Shingo model and critical business problem solving. We provide consulting, training, and technical coaching in both of those areas. Our experience covers many different industries, as shown there, but this is what separates us. What separates us is our associates. First, there's Greg Battles, then there's Dr. Andrew Lux, and then there's myself, R.C. Caldwell. All three of us are experienced with 30 years or more of Master Lean Six Sigma Black Belt, meaning we know Lean and equivalent to Lean Senseis, and we know Six Sigma, equivalent to Master Black Belts. And we have been practicing this from the start of our careers. We all started as engineers and moved up in successfully in a lot of corporate American companies such as Ford, GE, Johnson & Johnson, and GM, just to name a few. So this is what sets us apart. We're able to come in to your plant, work with your teams, work with your leaders, and transform your organization to operational excellence and solve critical business problem solving effectively and efficiently. We're going to talk about, and our agenda for today is today's business environment. And then we're going to talk about leading during COVID-19, starting with the executive team or leadership team, with the CEO, vice president, those type of team members. And then we're going to go down to middle management and team leaders, where we're going to talk about the health and safety for COVID-19 to support operational excellent culture. And then we're going to go down to the frontline level, where we're going to talk about CDC 5S visual workplace to support operational excellent culture. And then we're going to have the conclusion. So today's business environment. First, there's COVID-19. In the U.S., it's affecting everyone. This is worldwide. All over the world, COVID-19 is impacting. So that's going to impact your supply chain, etc. In the U.S., we have governmental chaos. We have chaos in the government. We also have social unrest. So all these things are directly, in some cases, and indirectly affecting your workforce. So how do you run a successful business or manufacturing plant under these conditions? That's the question. So let's start, and we're going to focus on COVID-19 in this presentation because that's the most important one. And in the United States, it started in January the 21st of this year. In the state of Washington was the first case, and 2% of our population and counting have been affected by COVID-19. So that's nearly 6.8 million people. And in 9 months, this is so sad. I know this is a statistic on paper, but these are real people. Almost 200,000 people have died from COVID-19. That's mothers, fathers, sisters, brothers, childs. They're people, kids. It's just sad. And for us to be the so-called leading country in the world, these are just terrible numbers. And not only that, in the U.S., we got flu season coming next month, October. We're only a couple of weeks away. So from October to March, the peak is from December to March that we're going to be dealing with, and COVID and regular flu, and we're going to be dealing with colds, runny nose, all kind of situation. So the question is your plant prepared? Are you prepared? Is your leadership team prepared? That's the question. So from a leadership, it should start from the CEO and his leadership team. The first thing is don't panic. Second thing is trust your gut. This is no time to think about, I want to go this direction because I feel it's the right thing to do, or that, hey, my gut tells me that we need to do it this way. This is no time. This is the time to embrace scientific thinking. You must embrace it at all levels and encourage your people to do it, especially the leadership team. It starts with you. You also need to take a focus on the a long-term perspective. And there's three big things you need to focus on. First, you need to focus on safely getting your workforce to the other side. And what is the other side? The other side is when we have a vaccine, a cure for COVID-19. When we have a vaccine and the vaccine is distributed to the majority of the population in the United States, that's 50% or more, and across the world, that's 50% or more, then we are over to the other side. Until that time, there are going to be people walking around that still need to be protected. Number two, put together a long-term rebuild and recovery strategy. So when you get to the other side, you have an excellent culture, a culture of high performance, and focus on profits for 2021 and beyond. So those are the three big ones that you should be focusing on. From a short-term perspective, practical approach, you need to, number one, ensure the health and safety of your workforce today and in the near future when we go through this in the United States, when we go through this flu season. It's extremely important to refocus now. And some people are getting lax because we have not had the spread of what we had at the beginning, but we can have a second peak, and that's what you got to prepare for. Number two, be honest. Honesty is the best way to go about this. President Franklin, back in World War II time frame, he started that. He made sure the American people knew exactly what was going on. Be consistent. Your leadership team must be consistent. You don't want mixed messaging. You want to be transparent, and you also want frequent messaging. Always you should be talking on having a schedule, either daily, monthly, weekly, of different levels of communications. Also, be committed to your guiding principle. Go back and revisit your guiding principles, or some companies call them core values, because if you have something in there that says, we need to make sure that our team members are in a very productive environment, and that we're going to do the best, that we can have a progressive, this is the time to do it. This is the time to make sure that you're doing it because your employees are watching and making sure you walk the walk. And if you have some commitments in your guidance that says, as a customer, we want to make sure that our customers are well taken care of and have 100% quality. Even though this is tough environment to achieve the on-time delivery, you need to be striving for that and to see how you can get it back, okay? Because your employees are looking 4 directions and want to see if you're going to live the walk. You're going to walk the walk. Okay? This is very important. Next, number 4, always work on your plant culture. Okay? Because the culture is changing. It's changing because COVID has made us change. People are, and a lot of other things, but mainly this COVID has changed, and it's going to continue to change as people come in. There's some people are going to have the regular flu, some people are going to have COVID. We're going to talk about that later. It's very important that you work on that culture because you got people taking risks to come to the plant. Then 5, implement systematic operational excellence with safe Lean Six Sigma best practices. That's very important. And I'm going to show you the CDC 5S visual workplace where we're going to go down to the front level where we're going to actually see how it works on the floor and how it also supports a positive high performance culture. And last but not least, don't focus on the losses of 2020. Don't try to make them up. Don't try to last quarter of this year, try to let it go. Because that's going to make you do some short-term things that may not help you in the long run. Okay, because a lot of companies have lost, a lot of companies have went out of business. If you're still existing, focus on the future. If you are making profit and you haven't recovered, then you're in good shape. You're in the best shape. So here is a rebuild, is a graphical depiction of a rebuild and recovery strategy. That's your long-term approach shown there, starting with your revisiting your guiding principles and making sure you have alignment, and then going to your core management team alignment. And that'll be the next big major step, milestone. The next milestone will be mobilizing commitment. The next milestone will be critical mass. Now, this is how it fits with your tactical short-term approach. Say in this case, I'm showing in this example, we have 6 different plants, and we're doing them in phase 1. Right after you get that core management team alignment, you can launch your tactical, because your core team has put together that short-term tactical. And then you phase it in with your first 3 plants, as I'm showing there, phase 1, and then this next 3 plant would be phase 2. And coming out of there, you want sustaining operational excellence in both cases. So ideally, when we get to the other side, and you are at your critical mass and you have this sustaining operational excellence plan. So we talked about health and safety for COVID-19 being the top priority for your long-term and your short-term strategy. So I want to talk to that here, and that's what we're going to talk about to support the operational excellent culture. So as a leadership team, you should already have these things in place, but you need to revisit them. You need to revisit your guideline for testing for COVID, because now people are going to come in with colds. They're going to come in with regular flu. They're going to come in, it's going to be different. You should be already paying for COVID-19 testing. You should install a method if you haven't, and you should already have a contact tracking. There's safe zone tags that the NBA and NFL is using. Those are very effective, where if you come within 6 feet of someone, it records it and keep track of it. So you can use those for contact tracing. You can also use cameras, but if you use cameras, make sure you let your workforce know it's not for big brother purposes. And Samsung has some watches that vibrate, and I read and seen that Ford is doing that in their plants, and all some of these have some privacy issues that you have to address, but other than that, you need to revisit this just because we're going into flu season. Another thing, continuous airflow. In China, there was a study that showed that in stagnant air in a restaurant that people long 6 feet away, 20 feet away, caught COVID from one person. And it's very important that you have airflow in your office and plant, and you have qualified filters, high grade filters to make sure it can kill any so it won't spread. Also, you need to keep records of when those filters are changed and changed out and that type of thing. So you got to revisit all these. PPE, wherever it's needed, you got to make sure you have an adequate supply of that. Because we're as I said, and I keep emphasizing, we're coming on a different season. And you need to establish or reestablish your temperature screening team, okay, to make sure. One of the things I would recommend that if you don't have a nurse on there now, you may put it on, and may want to put one on there, because some people are going to come in with runny nose, some people are going to come in coughing, they don't have COVID-19. So you got to decide as a team, what are you going to do under those circumstances? And not only that, how are you going to determine what is the process? So we really need to look at putting in the appropriate process. Your screening committee need to make sure they have the appropriate PPE. It's going to be important now that we're going through flu season. You need to emphasize and overemphasize wearing masks. You need to be able to do this quickly, not only in the measuring the temperature, but also the process of determining if someone has COVID or regular flu or just a cold. So that needs to be revisited and looked at, because what you don't want to do is send everybody home just because they got a cold or runny nose, and that's not the thing. Or you don't want to actually bring somebody in that has COVID, they don't have a fever, but they're coughing. Okay, so some kind of way you got to come up with something. Also, one of the areas that's highly concentrated, you probably already know that, is coming in and out of work and departure times and lunch and that type. You should have strategic staggered times for start and end. Now I got an example of what I mean by that. Here's a simulation of a strategic staggered start time. Okay, and I'm going to show you the end too. So in this operation, there's a press operation, there's assembly operation, and there's a pack operation. Each cycle time is 5. We start the shift at 7, so I got the clock starting at 6:59, and this is for first shift. So at 7 o'clock, the press operator, because he is downstream, he comes in first, and he does his CDC 5S shine, okay, and then he starts working, okay, and then he starts feeding the assembly operation. So 7:07 he's working. At 7:10 the second worker come in. He does his CDC 5S shine, okay? And these can also be teams, but I'm showing you in this example just one operation, one operation, because it's simpler to understand. So that worker started working, okay? And he's feeding the packing operation. And now the third shift guy comes in and he does his CDC 5S shine to wipe off to make sure everything's okay. And then he begins working. Okay, so that's how it's done coming in. Now let's take a look at it end of the day. Okay, so the press operator, the downstream operation in this assembly line. Okay, we start with the press operator. He shines at the end of the shift, and then he leaves, okay, for the day. And then the CDC 5S shine is done by the assembly operator, okay? And then the second one leaves. And then the third, the packing, does the CDC shine, and he leaves. And that's how it's done strategically. Now, if you're not, you don't have a, you're not blessed with having a assembly operation, and you have a plant that has, various value streams, what you can do is let your bottleneck operations and your bottleneck departments go first, come in first, and the feeding operations come in next, and then after that, the operators that are upstream to the bottleneck come in last. And that's how you would do that, so you can be very efficient and effective, and your product will flow a lot better. So the next slide is the CDC 5S visual workplace to support operational excellence culture. So now we're going down on the plant level, okay, and the supervisory level. So what is CDC 5S? It creates the culture foundation for a safe workplace for COVID-19. That's exactly what it is. And what is 5S Visual Workplace? It is a self-sustaining culture that maintains a neat, clean, and efficient workplace. That's very, very important. So it's really just a lean tool, a Lean Six Sigma tool. Now, here's the definition, and here's in sequence. You start with sort. If you've never done this before, you start with sort, and you separate and eliminate all unwanted items. Trash that don't supposed to be in there, old fixtures, anything that don't supposed to be there needs to be sorted out. Then you set in order. All right. What that means is a place for everything, and everything in its place. Everything, nothing should be in the work environment that you don't need, or if you need it just on some occasion, it needs to be put away. The next thing is shine. So you want to remove any dirt, grime, mess. You want to make it shine. And then all those heavily touched areas, you want to do CDC clean, okay? And that's with disinfectant. Next, we want to standardize our cleaning procedure. So everybody do it the same way on all 3 shifts. If you have 3 shifts, all 3 shifts do it. If you have 2 shifts, both shifts do it the same way. And then from there, you want to sustain it. And the way you sustain it is you let your team monitor themselves, measure themselves, review the cleaning, all right, and make sure that it's acceptable at that high level of shine. And the management team must support it. You need to come out and audit their performance and let them know when they do a great job. So I'm going to talk about 3 areas, shine specifically. And so let's start with shine. Shine because of the CDC recommendation saying you ought to clean the surface with soap and water and then use household disinfectant. Very important. The next is standard work. You want video standard work of the cleaning. Like here, you got pizza box they're making. You can look at the description. You can look at the safety or quality points. And then you can look at a video. And you can play the video and you can say, okay, that's how I'm supposed to box it. I'm watching him. All right, I got it. All right, I see he's making slices on there. And you can read the description and you have it all there. Okay, so that's what you want. Sustain, this is the hardest one. This is the hardest one, but if you get it, now it's part of your culture. Okay, stick to it. Make it part of your culture. Make it part of who you are. All right, and establish a daily audit from your management team and your support team. Okay, the people that's actually out there doing it. And here's a picture of social distancing in the factory. And this is the Ford factory. This photo was provided by CBS 60 Minutes. And it shows operators, kind of fuzzy, but you can see the operators behind the plexiglass. You see everything orderly. Take a look at the floor. It's even shining. Okay, so they definitely are using 5S and CDC 5S, and they have masks on and shields, face shields. So in the office area, here's another social distancing. You wanted to social distance in the office with assigned seats and areas with plenty of space between them. Okay. Also in the office when you can work from home, like buyers, sales, and marketing people, let them work from home. Okay. You just have to make sure that you have an alignment of what outcomes. If you have good alignment with your guiding principles and your uh, customer voice of the customer data, you don't have to worry about it. It'll tell you if they're performing. Social distancing in the offices, you should have social distancing office layouts, and also signage is very important. And then you should have social distance in the cafeteria and the cashier's line, and also in the seating arrangement as shown here. And the benefits, the 5S, and last but not least, the benefits to prevent the spread of COVID-19. That's the biggest one. But then you also get the improvement in safety or ergonomics. You get more of a healthy workforce, and you show that you care about them, which is going to be very important because people, some of them are not going to, I'm not saying all, some of them are going to be leery of coming to work. And if they know that you're making sure that it's safe for them and you're creating a bubble at work, and you can encourage them to create a moving bubble when they leave work so they won't do anything that's risky and bring it back. So in conclusion, as leaders, leadership teams should focus on the long term with three big things you should work on. Number one, getting your workforce safely to the other side. Number two, rebuild and recovery strategy. Number three, focus on profits for 2021 and beyond. And don't worry about losses. Short-term tactical, in summary, support the big three long-term. Whatever you do, it should support those three. And then create and work on building a high performance culture, because your culture is changing. Don't let it change on its own and go down, because that's what will happen. You need to work on making it go up and sustaining excellence for 2020 and 21 and beyond. Okay, so those are the things, and I hope you enjoyed this presentation. I'd like to thank you for your time. If you'd like to know more about Caldwell's and Associates, just go to caldwellsassociatesexcel.com, or you can reach out to us personally, Andrew Lux, at 330-289-1041, or you can reach me at 937-367-6743. Thank you again, and have a great day.